All right, we are just about done. This will be my last good faith debate video. God willing, I'm not gonna do any more of these. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? These good faith gospel coalition. If you consume too much of the content, it's soul sucking. It really is. It's just I don't really know how else to describe it. It sucks your soul away. That's how it is. But, I've kind of developed a little bit of a reputation for being like the angry video game nerd of evangelical pop theology, where it's my duty to go dumpster diving and reviewing the worst of the worst. He does it with video games. I do it with pop theology. That's my niche. I'm the angry video game nerd of pop theology. When I was a little kid, I never thought I'd grow up to say that. But here we are. It's got to come to an end, though, so enjoy it while it lasts. Here we go. The final video for the racial reconciliation good faith debate, which is not a debate because they agree on everything and they make no sense anyway, and all the rest of this stuff and everything.
And so I think that we're kind of saying the same thing. We can't leave one without the other, because if you do, I have the dangers of revenge, but you can't leave behind justice, or else you have the dangers of injustice. But that will come in the conversations, and that will come in working together and learn about each other and care about each other.
Well, that's a good point.
That's a great point. It's just words mixed together, but it's a great point. And of course, nobody understands what you're saying, but it's definitely a great point, and it's a valid point. And I affirm you. I just want to say these two black guys, I affirm them. Full humanity, absolutely. And in honor of your full humanity, I will tell you, I know this guy won't, but I will. You've dedicated your lives to nonsense. None of this makes any sense. None of this has any value whatsoever. I am affirming your full humanity and treating you exactly the way I would treat anybody who came to me with a bunch of nonsense, who could barely put two words together and just mumbles through his presentations. You've dedicated your life to nonsense. It's time to cut bait. It's time to stop loss. Look, eventually, at some point, you got to cut your losses. You've lost all the time in the past, and you've got to change direction. You can't. I know you think you've got these sunk costs, but look, you got your whole life ahead of you. You can dedicate it to something that's meaningful and valuable. You don't have to continue doing this. He won't tell you, but I affirm you as full humans in telling you that you're full of it.
What if we kind of land the plane a little bit with two questions? The first, is
two more questions.
You talk about the reconciliation. Maybe you're emphasizing the reconciliation side a little more, and you're emphasizing the justice side a little more. I'd love for you to address each extreme. Maybe you can address the extreme on the reconciliation side that would say, why do anything? That would be the extreme. And the extreme on the justice side would say, we need things changed no matter what. And we're going to push policies and arguments and articles and social media to that end, going far ahead.
The distinct lack of preparation that this guy had. None of this is very well thought
y'all
through.
would, I'd love for y'all to engage.
And you can even see that because the debate is totally different than what the title is, which is totally different than the description, and then they start talking about random things. None of this is very well prepared. None of that. Everything is nonsense here, including the presentation style.
We'll start
You
with
want me
you.
to start with me? Okay.
Oh my.
So here's what it looks like when you push reconciliation and don't concern justice. What happens is that people start thinking, okay, let's not rock the boat. And so if you bring up something, oh, you're rocking the boat.
If you want to stay afloat,
what happens is
you got
that
to rock the
people are
boat.
called racist for bringing up issues of concern.
If you want to send me packing,
that's what happens when
man,
you,
baby,
when you
it's
say,
on
well,
and cracking.
We need to come together.
Because it's gonna
and
be
love one
on like
another,
a.
And let's not talk about these issues of justice. And couldn't you
What
people
movie is
put
that from?
aside those issues?
It might be Barbershop.
For the sake of
Maybe
reconciliation.
Barbershop 2.
And I think
those
the way that
Barbershop movies. Those are good movies.
I gave
That's some
an
black-
example
that's some
of
black
how
humor
I see
right
this,
there. I
but I
like
think
that.
just describing that shows why
You know
that
these guys
cannot
like
work for-
Barbershop, that's for sure.
As a person of color,
I don't go to the
part
barbershop
of who I am
because
is
they don't have hair.
African American, and part of I understand that justice can get out of hand, but I know that there are things that need to be corrected, and I want to work towards that. I'm willing to work towards that. I'm willing to work towards that, working with people, not to impose. But I have to feel that we're working towards that.
So, that's great. So that you said it well. Reconciliation without justice. So what's the danger of justice without reconciliation?
Yeah, I think that,
It's the theme of the good faith debate is like to pretend like we actually don't disagree. Like, have you ever been in a conversation with that with like a very ultra winsome person? And I don't mean winsome in the good way. I mean winsome in the mealy mouth, kind of limp wristed, kind of gay way. And quite frankly, a lot of evangelicals have been trained to be that way, where like you're talking about maybe a difference, maybe in like eschatology, something, whatever, we disagree in eschatology, no big deal. And you're talking about it, and they like keep trying to get you to say, no, I think we're basically agree. We're just kind of disagree on the wording. And you like look at them and you're like, no, we don't we don't agree at all. I'm telling you two diametrically opposed things. It's not about wording. It's about this is not this, and we're disagreeing. Like, it's okay, we disagree. Like, but they insist, no, we're just like, that's what these good faith debates are about, to pretend like there's really no disagreement. We're all just getting along here. Everyone agrees. That's pretty subversive. Pretty subversive when you think
I
about
think
it.
Martin King addressed this really well in one of his last speeches, is that we can find ourselves in
You gotta listen to
desegregation
this.
and having, in some ways, some kind of physical proximity but spiritual distance. And I don't think it's good enough. Let's think first inside the church. It is definitely not good enough for the church to not truly be the church. We need to be joined. We need a shared spirituality. We need a shared experience of the Spirit of God. And so that requires us to be reconciled. We cannot be the church and be somehow separate while achieving restorative things for people. And so I think that would be a social vision and not really a redemptive vision. So I think it's important that we don't lose that. I think in the broader society, though, it's important, even though we can't talk about community like we can go after in the church, I think God does have a vision still for a community, kind of a common grace community. And so we want that to be in place as well. We don't want to have compartmentalized, this kind of like balkanized reality. And so, because what that does, it sets us up for future conflict. And the only way to mitigate that is to have a shared sense of community.
That's a good answer. Last question
Beautiful.
for the both of
Just
you.
absolutely beautiful.
Realistically, we live in the already not yet. Jesus has inaugurated his kingdom. It will not be fully consummated until he comes back. And that's where we live. So
If I never heard the term already and not yet again, I could die a happy
can
man.
and should
I
be
hate that
accomplished
term so
this
much.
side of
It's
the
just,
second
I'm not saying
coming?
it's not true. I just hate it.
Start with you, Daryl.
Yeah, I think that is true for all of our relationships and our marriages, and we know that
The
our
already
marriages
and the
aren't
not
gonna be
yet.
perfect, but they can also still be good. Been married for 34 years now. It's a very, very good marriage. I don't know what I said to my wife, but she married me, and so I'm grateful for that. I think we can have healthy churches. All healthy churches will have issues that they're dealing with, so it's not the consummated kingdom. And so I think the Lord would have us to pursue justice now. So think about the Lord, Isaiah 59, where he talks about, he looks and he sees this absence of justice. It bothers him. I think it bothers him if we're not going after it now, and we'll make progress toward it. Perfection? No. But real gain, I think, is possible because we're
Oh. Lost.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
Sorry
well
about that.
said. I mean, I do not expect perfection. I need grace, so I better give grace. And so when people mess up, I better be there to have grace if they are truly, if someone asks for repentance, I need to be there for them. And so we're going to make mistakes moving
I think you
forward.
meant forgiveness.
But I think that we can make the effort moving forward. I think that's very important, to keep working moving forward, dealing with this issue, dealing with that issue, and keep moving forward, even though there will still be issues out there. And that process, the process of doing that is going to produce real racial harmony, not fake racial harmony, real racial harmony as we learn how to love one another and learn about our own inadequacies. So I think that we can do that, even though we know that we're going to mess up, other people are going to mess up, we're still going to move forward.
Well, thank you. I really thank you both for joining us, for giving your time, for practicing what you preach, for living what you encourage. These are complicated, complex, and even personal issues, and I just appreciate you being open and transparent and giving so much of your time and mental life and emotional life to formation and discipleship and moving us forward, both at a local level, but things like this, you're doing at a larger level too. So I appreciate both of you. And to you out there online, I hope that this has been a helpful
All
and
3,000 of you.
profitable use of your time and our prayers that
It
God
most
would use
certainly has not been a good use of my time. It has not been helpful, maybe entertaining for the audience. Man, they have almost 200,000 subscribers and only 3,000 brave souls listen to this. This is complete nonsense, and
in
everybody
life,
knows it.
and that the things that these brothers are talking about would advance increasingly through you in your local context. Blessings.
All right, well, that's it. I mean, I'm done. I'm done with good faith debates and all of Gospel Coalition's nonsense. It feels like the end of an era. We're just done, and I don't have to ever see this guy ever again. And it's gonna be wonderful. And he's gonna be telling people, he's gonna be lying to people for the next 20 years about how helpful they are, and in reality, they're the opposite of helpful. But it's the end of an era, and AD Robles signing off. If only it were that simple. Oh, man. Well, I had a friend, a troublemaker, a well-known troublemaker on the Twitter, on the X, and he said that he needed me to watch this video and do what I do. And I said, sure, because I'm the angry video game. I can't get out of my duty like that. I've got to dig through the trash. I've got to dumpster dive for pop theology that needs to be given the treatment. And he sent it to me. And he said it was a Jen Wilkin thing. And it's a Jen Wilkin thing about basically bringing feminism into the church. You know, God, in case you haven't noticed, Gospel Coalition is bringing feminism into the church, and eventually they will be promoting basically everything except I don't know that they'll actually promote female pastors, lead pastors. I think that's a scam that they've got in the works right now. But they won't promote female pastors proper, but they'll promote females doing the role of a pastor and everything a pastor does. That's happening currently. They're liberals. Gospel Coalition are liberals. They're the new liberals, and they're bringing their liberal theology into the church. He said, hey, this Jen Wilkin thing, you got to give it the treatment. And as soon as I pressed play, this is the face that greeted me.
Welcome to As in Heaven, Season 3. My name is Jim Davis. I am your host and pastor of Orlando Grace Church, and I am joined by my co-host and dear friend, Michael Aitchison, pastor of Christ Fellowship, also here in Orlando. And today we are joined by author and speaker Jen Wilkin, who also...
That's what we're going to be doing. We're not going to necessarily do it in the next episode, but... that guy is back, and he's going to tell Jen Wilkin that she's been so helpful when she's been nothing of the sort. But Jen Wilkin is going to be promoting feminism on the Gospel Coalition, on the As in Heaven podcast, which looks like the worst podcast I've ever seen, ever. Maybe except for the Room for Nuance podcast, which I've never seen, but it sounds awful. Do you remember back when what's-his-face, that guy, he asked me to come on the show, and we were talking about excommunicating Democrats in the church, and then he refused to put the episode. Do you remember that? He refused to put the episode up, and we all insisted that he do it. It went really well for me, by the way. That episode was great. I mean, I made an airtight case. And he refused to put the episode up, and then he implied publicly, without showing the evidence, that it was to protect my reputation, that I was the one who ended up looking bad. I assure you that is not the case, of course. I'm the one who wants them to release the footage. They refuse to do it. Anyway, he's got a new podcast called Room for Nuance. That sounds awful. It sounds awful. But that was a fun one. And do you remember afterwards, they did their own podcast about the same topic that they interviewed me about. And they, of course, did not include me in it. But then we tore it apart. We just did what we did. But that was a good time. Good times, man. I've gotten into a little bit of drama. You know, my channel's not really a drama channel. And I don't get involved in a lot of the internet drama. But yeah, from time to time, you know, things like that. Anyway. So yeah, we're going to be doing this Gospel Coalition video from the As in Heaven podcast. Why honoring the gifts and abilities of women is relevant to de-churching, whatever that means. But yeah, we're gonna have to give Jen Wilkins business again, because that's just how we do on this channel. God bless you. I hope you found this video helpful.